Well, when I was in Cameroon, I always felt like, okay, in America, life is much easier. You know, you make more money and you can live comfortable spouse. But don't get me wrong, it's we do. To be honest, I do comparing back to Cameroon. But the trick part is I never realized that you have to work hard, like really hard, to get that dollar. And one thing I also miss back in Cameroon, we have time to relax, sit down, enjoy yourself, see your friends, neighbors. But here in the US, I don't know, personally, me, it's a very fast pace. You have to, you know, hurry up, and, you know, like they say here, time is money. In one hand, it's a good thing, but in the other hand, it's like you look back and say, what have I done with my life? Now, when people from Cameroon will call you and ask you for money, ask you how you doing. If you tell them I am broke, they will not believe you. I don't know about you, but me, it's just like I don't have money. They would like, are you in the U.S.? What do you mean you don't have money? If you don't have money, it means we're dead. Like it means ours is even worse.
Your parents move into another country and bring you, so um, I would say for me it was almost a little bittersweet because coming here, you're surrounded by being in Prince George's County, you're surrounded by black people, but it was still a level of like you're not. Oh, you're from Africa, So it was people weren't as maybe they're more enlightened now, but they definitely in the '80s coming here, they were not as some kids were, but overall it was just still like that was during the time that was after We Are the World and the the famine. So so people were really full on into like stereotypes and oh, your first time putting on clothing and those type of things. So you still had like I remember that it wasn't everywhere, but it was just like it was very much more like vocal about it.
We're very like family and community based, and we socialize a lot back home in Ethiopia. So it was really hard for me to just do things on my own. And people here, like in Minnesota, especially in school, are so individual. Like, I mean, they're so independent. I mean, I love that, but just they're individual. Like, people would just go and eat alone, and I was not used to that. I would never eat alone, and there was a time that I didn't eat for 24 hours because I didn't want to eat by myself. But I guess, I mean, you tell people, and at some point you have to adopt because sometimes, I mean, with classes and stuff, it doesn't just work out to eat with people. So, yeah.
At the beginning, it was hard because the memory that I had was especially because, coming from a French system in terms of school, I had to, coming back here, start over, well, what they call senior year, so in high school. So I had to start over my senior year, and I really did not like it at all, considering that it's my first encounter, with Americans and American system. The thing that I remember the most is every day in our lunch time, you would have different groups of culture at the table or in the room. Actually, you would have Cameroonians on that side, you would have Anglophone, French, mainly Anglophone and French, and you would have different countries as well, like Philippines, Mali, Ethiopia, Somalia. And when on one side, when you would have the African group, you will find out that within the group there's also different tribes. So it was remarkable to me, and I was always the outsider and being new in the school, sitting on my side, but I was observing everything. And so my high school was a bit stressful because it's just, first of all, when you talk, you have an accent. They always ask you, where are you from? Oh my gosh, I love your accent. And that's where the conversation ends. Like, they don't want to know more about you. Because when I think about it, imagine if I was back in Cameroon or in Africa, even if you're new in a new school, somehow you feel confident, you feel comfortable. I don't know if it makes sense, but when you're in a different country, yeah, you could be comfortable, but it's just like fitting in. It gets hard. I mean, to me, I think it was harder.
One of the challenges I remember for me was just um, trying to fit in, but also knowing that my parents have their standards and they have their own idea of how they want their children to dress, look, da 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 da. And I remember one of the major things was um, before I came to, my mother, she, wasn't into like getting relaxers or anything like that. And I remember like I wanted a relaxer. Like it probably was like the 6th grade or 5th grade or something like that. And I was like, I want a relaxer. And it just became like this huge thing to me. And now, like, I look back at it now as someone I've had my hair natural now for like 5 years. And it just was like this thing I felt of like wanting that would make me be more American or just more whatever. And I look back and I'm like, oh, well, that was not the definition of being American, but in your head, as a 9, 10-year-old at the time, I just kind of felt like, oh, that's what's going to make me be accepted. I need to get a relaxer. And that would, and you got the relaxer. That didn't change anything, but in your, you're 9, you're 10, you're thinking, that's going to really settle me in.
I'm always learning new things when it comes to the American system. I'm adapting to it without forgetting where I come from.